point of view. The point of view, we understand it comes up. We know it's in a mile here that it comes up Monday all the way to Thursday, 9 a.m. to about 9:55. Sometimes we have an extension. It depends, of course, on the conversation as it builds. Well, today on the point of view, we're looking at fuel subsidy. It's become a normal, and sometimes I sit back when I try to get together, the discourse for the week. I observe critically that our conversations have been recycled, not because we really lack. Um, okay, should I use the word topics? But so we'll keep saying it until some things positive, of course, get to reflect in these areas, sectors which have become paramount and poignant on our political issues and tables. And this morning we're looking at the fuel subsidy. Yes, fuel subsidization. I'll go on a quick break, get connected with my guest, and get running. I'll get into the conversation ASAP because we really do not have time to observe what's happening. But there are strong indications that the fuel subsidy deductions may hit 6 trillion at the end, of course, at the end of the 2022 fiscal year. I'm trying to get connected with my guest, and I hope the network does not interfere. But we have several topics, of course, subtopics on the fuel subsidy as it has built so far. Hello? Okay, I think I just have to get back to him shortly. I'll be back after this timeout.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. I tried to connect with you. Apparently, you were
Very well.
okay.
I had wanted to call you from the other phone anyway.
Okay, it's not a problem. All right, before you came on board, I said something earlier. It appears most of our topics are becoming recycled, not because we lack what to say on this platform, but it appears we need solution to whatever had a reason. Up until we get the solution we actually foresee or envisage, we wouldn't shut the door on several conversations and on national issues, which has become a problem to the average Nigerian, as they say out there. So this morning on the point of view, we're looking at the fuel subsidy. Well, to our audience, I have on the other side Comrade Nwosu, Chris Nwosu. He's become a regular. He's one of our VIP presenters. Comrade.
Thank you very much, Dako. Thank you, listeners, and thank you for joining us once again.
Okay, yes, there are strong indications that the fuel subsidy deductions may hit 6 trillion naira at the end of the 2022 fiscal year. The federal government had earlier in the year received approval from the National Assembly to spend 4 trillion naira on petrol subsidy in 2022. However, on the 15th of June 2022, we got a report on why federal government should remove fuel subsidy from Soludo as inflation pushes 15 million more Nigerians into poverty, and there are projections that inflation to reach 15.5% by the end of the 2022. In Oka, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has kicked against retention of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. This was even as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC Limited, said payments for petrol subsidy cost the Federation account 1.217 trillion naira in the first 5 months of 2022. Soludo noted that fuel subsidy should be charged from the federal government and not sub-national states. He also argued that the subsidy ought to have been removed like yesterday, adding that its non-removal fall could cause the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to spill money. He missed out the launch of the Nigeria Development Updates in Abuja. Specifically, he said that the federal government decides that it wants to subsidize premium motor spirit PMS. But why do you have to charge it from the sub-national states? You should charge it from the revenue of the federal government. Let's get your view on that statement briefly as we move on.
Thank you very much. The issue of fuel subsidy has become a thorn in the flesh of Nigeria.
I tell you.
And it did not begin today, and the controversy doesn't. And that this is so because it has become, a hot issue officers, particularly those who have to do one thing or the other to do with the oil sector. Now, for an outlet that has proven a beehive and some sort of a maker for corrupt Nigerian civil servants, the challenge has become hydra-headed, and it's becoming more and more intense, and we haven't seen a government that has the political will to put a stop to it. I think that is where the problem is. Now, looking at the issues, it's important. I don't normally stand on the fence on any issue. I've always been an apostle of deregulation of the oil sector. However, the challenge we have in the Nigerian situation is that our country from time to time been piloted with leaders who either for themselves and for deregulation to make sense, the environment has to be right. You cannot deregulate in an environment where government is there. When I mean government, I mean the operatives in charge and the man at his table.
True.
Now, the challenges is that if you continue to if government continues to provide subsidy, then this corruption will not abate, because the issues are very simple. One, there is the issue of what are you subsidizing? What are the figures? That is the core challenge. What are the figures? You and I know, and everybody in Nigeria knows, that fuel subsidy marketers collude with government officials to enrich themselves. They bring in a particular, volume of the product, and they create papers for, an entirely, and then it must continue once you return the fuel subsidy window. However, in advocating for deregulation, being consistent and simple, there are first things must come first. We cannot have refineries in Nigeria that are not operating optimally, and you're talking about deregulation and fuel subsidy. We have seen scenarios in times past, and the trend has continued, where monies that verifiably could have built brand new modular refineries were used for turnaround. And the sad thing is that at every point in time, after this so-called turnaround maintenance, none of these refineries have been able to operate optimally, and none has operated for a reasonable period of time without. Ask yourself, if a government, for example, that has 8 years to spend, or that is at the verge of spending 8 years, particularly one whose campaign mantra was fuel subsidy and all those, have not been able to do anything in this direction in the last 7 years, then you can appreciate how humongous the challenges we are facing is. And it has to do with corruption, and corruption, because people are getting a free lunch. and they are not interested in actually ending the melee of subventions that go into it. So for me, the first things to do is to ensure that new refineries come on stream, be they modular, be they regular, whatever they are, but let the refineries come on stream. I believe that Nigeria as a country has the capacity within 3 years to 4 years to build strategic refineries that will aid the expected deregulation policy. Good enough, Dangote is coming up, but Dangote is a businessman in Lagos. The refinery is almost ready, but he's a businessman. And he's in business to make money. And no businessman will see a career as going to play, the national role. So, much as I believe that his refinery might add to abetting the situation and reduction, on the whole. So it is the prerogative of government to ensure that more refineries come on board. And I believe that a purposeful government in Nigeria can set up about 4 refineries within the first 4 years. Even if it means you have to borrow, it's a very viable project. So borrow and consign those funds to the reasons they were borrowed. And more importantly, the issue of right pricing. Because the problem we have here is that government, something that a private enterprise will obtain with, for example, 1 trillion naira. Government will cost it for 3 trillion in Nigeria. That's the problem. So these are the issues. The issues are plain. Then our leader is the political will to deal with the situation. But on the issue of, I go with Soludo completely. Summarily, I go with Soludo completely. That we cannot continue like this. And you are federal government, we are states, and you are the author of all the revenues that comes to the country. So if you as federal government want to subsidy for petroleum products, especially PMS in the country, then do so from your own share of the federation account. Yeah. So that's simply what Soludo is saying.
Yeah.
You cannot pass your inactivity or inept sense of leadership to me as a state. And that's why we're saying that for Nigeria to actually make rapidly restructured, a lot of things we need to engage and re-engage ourselves, and then come up with a framework that will make states willing to develop at their own speed and not to be held back by the liabilities of those who do not want to. I think I keep it at that.
Yeah. Now. Oh, okay. And still, during that particular conversation and the meeting held in actually states that a higher inflation rate had pushed about 15 million more Nigerians into poverty between the 2020 and 2022, while 8 million more Nigerians were in poverty between the 2020 and 2021. That the war in Ukraine added to Nigeria's woes as inflationary pressures have increased, with inflation projected to reach 15.5% by the end of 2020. They're saying that increase in inflationary pressures following the Ukraine war are expected to before the war. They cited that before the war, higher inflation pushed an estimated 8 million. In 2021, inflation averaged 17%, undermining Nigeria's economic recovery by eroding the purchasing power of the most vulnerable households. And they also, as much as 1 million more Nigerians into poverty on top of the war. Overall, the inflation shock is moving away from that thought. Lai Mohammed also is in the news as on the 5th of July, he says why Nigeria cannot remove fuel subsidies at the moment, remove subsidies on PMS. He spoke during an exclusive interview with Reuters in London and said many other nations were introducing measures to help citizens cope with high oil energy prices. Hence, Africa's most populous country could not be an exception. Nigeria, in his words, is Africa's largest oil exporter, but still has to import almost all its fuel needs due to a lack of refining capacity. He said, when you consider the chaos, the social disharmony and instability, such an action, abolishing subsidies, would facilitate. Is it worth it? I don't think so, the minister said. So let's get your response.
Well, my response again is simple. I think it's a tragedy of sorts. Products. We are having this challenge in our country simply because, like I said earlier, our leaders lack the political will to push. That is for those of them who really would wish to see a difference, while others are enmeshed in corruption so deeply that the lockery that comes from this is so enticing that they do not want to let go. I do not expect Lai Mohammed to depart from the line of argument or the line of submission he did. He is a member of the government, but I know that deep in his heart, he knows that they have failed and failed woefully if they are to be judged by the promises that this government made to Nigerians in the campaign, in the heat of the campaign in 2015. But that's not important. What is more important is the observation that more Nigerians are being pushed into poverty.
True.
Contrary to the promise of the administration to pull millions of Nigerians
out of poverty.
The contrary has been the case. And, listening to the president addressing the APC governors that paid him a visit in his Abuja country home yesterday or thereabouts, you get the impression that even the president knows deep down that he has not done what he has promised. And that's why he appears in a hurry to leave to go back to Katsina State. But that's an entirely different matter. My own position is very simple. It is a God-given resource that ought to have bettered the lot of Nigeria as a country, the lot of Nigerians as a people, and what have you, has turned out to become, an avenue of pain, on the citizenry. And I'm more interested in how we can come out of this milieu of problems than, Bob passing at the moment.
True.
And the true position is that for as long as our economy remains import dependent, thereby pressurizing the exchange rates and all that, we are not going to get out of this problem any sooner. And the disheartening thing about this development is that most of the things we consign the very scarce, foreign exchange to are things that most of us may do without in Nigeria, or things we can produce in Nigeria to conduct, a foreign exchange. But Nigerians love the easy way out. So everybody is resorting to import. We import toothpick, we import combs, we import creams, we import even food items that we can produce in our country. Most rich Nigerians have a preference for foreign made goods than Nigerian made goods and all that. And even though the Made in Nigeria campaign is gaining grounds, it's doing so so slowly that it is not impacting the economy, as much as it should at the moment. But this is you can only put the blame on government, because when the environment is not right, then of course citizens who are into various businesses must keep afloat, and they have to find a way to keep afloat. Energy is a problem in Nigeria. Those of them who have embraced the call for industrialization, some of them are regretting more industries are dying than those coming on stream, and all that. And these are the things that would have helped the country out of the woods, because if we produce and use more made in Nigeria goods, then the pressure on the foreign exchange pressure would drop its value. But we are not seeing that. And unfortunately for us as a country, even the monies we make from other sources, we now consign to this issue of subsidies and all whatnot. But for me, there's no need crying about a spilled milk already. 2023 is almost here with us.
Yeah.
Nigerians, the first thing for Nigerians to do in order to get out of this quagmire is to be responsible for the choices they make in 2023. We need to look out for it. It's unfortunate that from what we are seeing, the national discourse within the two major political parties in this country does not appear, hinged on the economy or on how to get Nigeria out of the woods. Rather, people are talking more about health issues. People are talking more about a certificate. People are talking more about qualifications and all that. This should not be the case in a country that actually wants to get out of the woods. This should not be the case for a country that wants to make progress. So Nigerians must open their eyes wide as we approach 2023 to make sure that they select a president who understands the challenges of the country, a president who is prepared to do the needful to get the country out of the woods. And the only way you can know this thing is by looking at people's antecedents. So I am for deregulation. In fact, I am for total deregulation, but it must be phased. It must be phased to ameliorate the effect and the hardship that it will occasion in the lives of Nigerians. And if you want to know that Nigerians are prepared, if you want to understand that Nigerians are prepared, many Nigerians are prepared for deregulation. You get to understand that during fuel scarcity. Because during the scarcity, people buy fuel at any price.
Yes.
Let me use that word.
Yes.
They buy fuel at any price.
Yes.
I was listening to the television last night, or was it early this morning, and somebody was being interviewed at the filling station in Abuja, and he said that it is better for the products to be available, and he will now walk in and buy in minutes than the other time he wants to buy at regular price and he's spending 4 hours. Because even the man hours, are lost, amounts to lost revenue for some people.
Yes,
especially
yes.
people who are engaged, people who have one thing or the other to do.
That's
so
true.
Nigerians are willing to buy at higher prices, if only
its availability is assured.
They can expect some amelioration, some sort of relief. I'll give you a classic example. When the what do you call it? NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, came on board, and they wanted to they deregulated the telecom industry. We were making calls at 15 naira, if you recall. In Nigeria here, we're making calls at 15 naira per minute. We, you even get, your what do you call it, SMS then. It costs some, reasonable amount of money. But today you get free, what do you call it, SIM cards, and the calls have dropped.
Yes.
Because that was one deregulation that has worked in Nigeria. And my position is that if that deregulation worked, then the fuel sector can be the petroleum sector and the energy sector in this country can be reduced. The man who did that magic is still alive. Dr. Nelson is still alive. So if you have his lights, what to do is to sack the board others like them, and then give them these responsibilities to replicate. And when you look at those who have succeeded, you will see that in their commissions or agencies, the first thing they tackled was corruption, the issue of corruption, and the issue of consistency. Because the problem is, talking about investment, a lot of business people are willing to come and invest in the Nigerian polity because we have the numbers to attract any business-minded person. However, the concern is that is government policy inconsistency. So I believe that if you have a government that is sincere and a government that is willing to actually, you take the bull by the horn on this issue of subsidy, it won't take that regime more than 4 years to have these things ironed out, and Nigerians will begin to enjoy, cheaper products, and then, have funds free for national development and engagement.
Yeah. All right. It's still the point of view right here on Omega 101.7 FM. We're really looking at the fuel subsidy. Well, moving on in the conversation, reps actually say fuel subsidy may hit 6 trillion naira. They're already hit 6 trillion naira at the end of the 2022 fiscal year. The National Assembly, in the amended 2022 Appropriations Act, which was signed into law by the president, had approved the sum of 4 trillion naira. I'm going to merge two conversations before we get the audience contribute in on it, as the group advocates for artisanal refineries legalization to check fuel scarcity. The federal government has been urged to legalize the opportunity and affordable in the country. The president of the People's Movement for New Nigeria, Alhaji Yahya Ndu, made the call in a statement just yesterday. According to him, the call had become imperative following challenges faced by Nigerians due to the fuel scarcity, which had lingered for several weeks, leaving commuters stranded. And he states that many years of government neglect and unemployment in the Niger Delta region, coupled with other factors, had given rise to a widespread industry of illegally refining stolen, with many attendant risk. He says, I call on the government of Nigeria to get realistic and immediately put all necessary machinery into motion to legalize, standardize, regulate, and monitor all so-called illegal refineries in the country, a great majority of which are in the Niger Delta. Let's get your view.
Well, when you talk about legalizing illegal
refineries
that dots the length and breadth of the Niger Delta,
yes,
I foresee also a problem. Nigerians are given to cutting corners. So when you say legalize and they are still in the hands of their operators, the issue of monitoring becomes an issue. I'll give you an example. In Anambra State the other time, just some days back, some buildings, including churches, were demolished.
Yes.
I can assure you that a government or an officer of the government must have given approvals at the time those buildings were erected. And whoever gave those approvals knew it was wrong to give the approvals. But because certain factors might have played out, the approvals were given all the same. So the issue of monitoring has always been an issue in Nigeria. I am not hooked on the prospects of legalizing illegal refineries. Because it is not the same as government setting out terms and conditions. Let's begin with what is, necessary to curb the corruption in the oil industry. The call to legalize illegal refineries in the South would serve that purpose. What would serve that purpose is the kind of thing that Dangote is doing in Lagos. What will serve that purpose it's having a good number of brand new refineries, that are built to ethics come on board. Now, I talked about government. We have seen instances in Nigeria where certain monies that went into ordinary maintenance could have obtained new units of what was being maintained in Nigeria. So if government, I insist that the way to go is that government can initiate a concourse of action, maybe a two-pronged line of action, where the government will aim at building one or two, three refineries. It doesn't mean that if government builds it, it must run it.
Okay.
But because of the financing challenges and because of what would be required, government can initiate one or two, three refineries while granting license to people who are actually willing to actualize their dreams of, owning or building or running refineries. The difference about, if you check, I'm sure that a lot of people have licenses, to build refineries in Nigeria. Some of them dating back to maybe over 10 years ago, and they haven't done anything. They would rather want to venture into allied, services related with oil and be seeking how to use, the relationship to also bite into the subsidy regime in Nigeria. That is the problem. So, grant licenses to those, like I said, we saw it in the telecom sector. It is replicated. It can be replicated in these other sectors. Grant licenses to those serious business-minded people, serious concerned, who are willing to come and build refineries that will be up in 1, 2, 3 years. And then government on its own would also initiate one or two refineries that within the framework of a particular, in the life of a particular administration, can culminate in, physical activities. What I mean by that is operation, can be operationalized within 4 years. By the time you're doing this, in fact, if for example, we have like 2 or 3 more of what Dangote is doing in Lagos, springing up anywhere in the Niger Delta today, be they private or government owned, I can assure you that more Nigerians will understand when government says we are bent on deregulation, even if the prices of the materials are going high, because then there would have been hope that within the next 2, 3 years, these prices will begin to stabilize and things will come down.
True.
And so for me, I don't understand it. And sometimes I begin to imagine, if I feel this way about it, how is the ordinary man feeling? Probably because the ordinary man may not understand the intricacies playing out. They think, they may not feel as bad as some of us who understand that these things can be better, these things can be done, are feeling right now. So for me, I won't, as a stopgap measure, embrace that advocacy for the legalization of illegal refineries, because I foresee a lot of troubles, a lot of challenges going with that. For people who are attuned already to illegal operations. Even if you legalize the activities, to stop looking for avenues to cut corners and all that. So in that light and in that brand new refineries, emerge from a process that has been outlined by government from the word go, so that people could take responsibilities for agreements they entered into and all that. And then the issue of supervision would have taken off from the very outset, and you're sure that people are complying with standards and all that. So that's my take on that.
So apparently, from your stance, because they were saying earlier that if the illegal refineries are legalized, standardized, and monitored, it could be a win-win situation for all. But you're saying that you don't entirely see that conclusively as a win-win situation. But it's not.
Yes, I don't, because we've also, one of I will tell you my fears. I drive a car. You drive a car, a lot of people drive motorcycles and all that. And there is no driver in Nigeria who has not, at one point or the other, had the issue of buying adulterated petrol.
Yes, that's true.
And,
that's true.
And you know what damage that could do. So most of the adulterated petrol we buy come from this adulterated illegal.
Yes.
And that is not to say that it does not happen within the regular industry. But I tell you the difference. Some time ago, bad fuel was imported into the country.
Yes.
And once it came to the national attention that this was the case, the government initiated through the regulatory bodies the recall of those products.
Yes.
But before then, some people had their vehicle engines knocked.
True. Generators.
Exactly. So some machines for their livelihoods. So you can imagine the kind of damage that it has caused in the lives of such people.
Yeah,
so my major fear, about legalizing illegal refineries, dwell on two prongs. One is fear of adulterated products, and the other is security. When I mean security, I mean abiding to standards, both standards of operation and standards of the machines or the gadgets. Because when those are not done, then the lives of the operators, inclusive of their workers, become insecure. So the issue of regulation, my idea is that in the kind of Nigeria shouldn't have been granted. And then you never can tell what the consequences will be.
True.
And it's a volatile sector. It's a volatile sector that must not be toyed with. So if we want to get it right in that sector, let's go through the conventional channel and do what is appropriate.
All right. Okay, at this point, we'll take a break from you. Take a chill pill, sit down, relax as we get connected with the audience after this break.
Part of the conversation, dial 081-5101-7777 and 090-7112-1017. Please make your submissions known in a civilized manner. Put off emotional and all ethno-religious sentiments. Make verifiable claims on this platform. Respect the views of other colors, and 2 minutes is given to every color. Each person is entitled to only one call to enable others to participate. Point of view, airing your views for the transformation of our society.
Welcome back. It's 9:39 already, and it's still the point of view right here on Omega 101.7 FM, Mount Radio, Sure Radio. You can follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Social, and YouTube. To be part of the online community, however, to make a voice call is 0815 1017777 or 0907-112-1017. We have a message here from Ozza Francis Namani watching live from Amakunze in Enugu State. It says subsidy removal is unpalatable for now. Government should listen to the yearnings and aspirations of the citizenry. May God help us. I say amen to that prayer.
My humble speaker, thanks for allowing.
A very good morning to you, sir.
It's part to come from budgeting from Olo. I must thank your guest very well.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday we waited in vain.
Sorry about that.
Parliament, we have the parliamentarians just like a white rice without stew.
Oh, sorry about that.
Today we are going to get the stew on the white rice and you say it will be a very palatable food.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, as far as Pastor Khan is concerned, the issue of subsidy in Nigeria is a fraud. Mr. Speaker, I think this will be, we'll call it a replication of edition. We have said this once last time ago, but let me tell you, as a matter of fact, you will ever ask yourself a question, because I always say people, what brain is given to you by the Almighty God, then sense is expected from you. Mr. Speaker, you wonder why our refineries are not working. Here's what I imagine. So you can see that all these things were created by these politicians. Most of them have refineries. You see this thing happening is for their own gain. They tell you something is 2 trillion, 5 trillion. You ask them, let them come and give the account how it happened. They will not give you. They continue to talk. Because as far as I'm concerned, you remember get said, the only thing is to restructure the country. Talk about this restructuring. Now, power revolution. Let every state manage their state economy or their resources. They will not agree. And they will never agree. He will let it to be start this restructuring in his campaign. You will fail. Because people don't understand. That's why I'm talking. You listen carefully. These people who are in charge, the people that are benefiting from this very country today is the British power and the Sokoto Caliphate. They are enjoying our pain. If we cannot able put this virus and this virus, we cannot remove the virus, we cannot remove all this parasites, we cannot make it. But they have given us the right how to follow this issue, and we keep silent. Let me tell you, lawyer from them know how to fight it. These people will never allow restructuring, which we are against service. You will never allow restructuring. Please, it brings the monopoly of British out. How do you have an idea?
Thank you, too. 0815-101-7777. Okay, hello.
Good morning, my humble speaker. Good morning.
A very good morning. A very good morning to you.
This is Orija Baredemba.
Go ahead.
I want to thank my honorable governor, Soludo. He made a comment, and I love that. But I want to say this thing. I suggest he concentrating in forcing the government to change the constitution and apply, instead of giving them the reason why they shouldn't go ahead, that this way will not work. Let him make sure that there is a constitution that will empower one to remove every government that is not doing well. Instead of correcting the person, he remove the person. You know that our constitution will not empower anyone to be removed. Will not empower us to remove anyone. Rather, someone cannot resign. He doesn't die. Please let him concentrate on changing the constitution. The constitution that will empower the masses to remove everyone that is not doing well as a president or as a governor, as a senator, any of the seats of authority. That is what is important. This country can never be good unless there is restructuring. Even the P2P cannot do anything unless the country constitution is changed and the restructuring is empowered. How do I put it? Please let me just leave it that way for others to participate.
All right, thank you for being considerate. 0815-1017-777 or 0907-112-1017. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
A very good morning to you, sir.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Chief Mohammed for a moment. It's on the line.
You're welcome.
If I'm able to catch some of the discussions you read out this morning with your report person. Let me hinge on my own point based on the fuel subsidy.
Yes.
Yes, the removal of subsidy. The truth is that what we have not even, most of us don't understand is at the cost of exporting and importing refined fuel into this condition, into this country, requires a professional, a catalyst, and a specialist who should provide a panacea to our problem. We extrude all these things within our shores and transport it outside to refine and bring back, and that makes the price very, very, very high.
Mm.
Fortunately, that is something now is not to in and see how this situation. But so doing fuel subsidy removal is quite eminent. And so long you use what will come out of it to harness and improve the lives of the lot of the people here. And make the product itself available. That is what is germane to this discussion about fuel and its life cost. Some people are thinking that if it is increased, I don't see any problem about that. What matters is increase. Remove the subsidy, let the price relate whatever that comes out of it to better the lot of the people.
All right.
Good morning. This is a little contribution.
All right, thank you. We have Jackson O'Hams on Facebook saying subsidies should not be removed, though, with an exclamation sign. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
A very good morning to you.
It's calling from Malo.
You're welcome.
The other guy in absence has already said everything. Nigeria, we are just dealing with ourselves. We are not serious with ourselves. Because when you look at the kind of money that has been mapped out severally to repair the existing refineries, if we are true to ourselves, we can use that money to build new ones. If that one is not working. But we keep playing ourselves. I don't know who did this to us. God have mercy on Nigeria. Thank you.
Amen. To that prayer. There come a time where it's called a cry of mercy. You cry out real hard. Hello?
Good morning to you, Dr. Sanami.
How are you? I am doing very well.
Nice to hear your voice, my dear. Please send my regards to our guest.
Yes, he's listening.
I remember the voice of Benjamin. Corporate and John Richie like here in other local government areas, Benjamin. Where subsidy in Nigeria has been an avenue for making the resource of this country raw. Why did I make that assertion? When the 50 years of the People's Democratic Party in Nigeria, fuel subsidy was in existence. And how much was the fuel price then? It started from 55 naira down to 95 naira. And all of us were crying. Is this administration different from the past? The difference is clear. This is an indication that when people who claim to fight corruption took over the mantle of leadership, a lot of intrigues are playing. And some of them are rising, increase in corruption index. That is number one. Two, setting up agenda where the country's economy will be diverted to a different country. For example, the setting up of pipeline from Kaduna down to Niger Republic is an indication. Why are they setting up the two double lanes from Kaduna down to Niger Republic? What is the essence and of what economic value? It's an indication that they have an agenda. And that agenda is to sideline the economic benefit of this country and take it out of the country where it will be palatable for them to consume. If you watch some of these African countries, you see that most of the industries and refineries functional here are owned by Nigeria. I will make an example. In Niger State, one of the retired army chiefs has been alleged to own a strong refinery there when he was the chief of army staff here. and is now retired. Before retirement, he was taken as an ambassador to that country. That is the fulfillment of the agenda. All of us are here. We know people who are deceiving us. Then what I'm praying this morning is this. I have been praying violently and I will never cease to pray. That Nigerians should shine their eyes and take these people out of power through the use of their PVC. So that we will have a leader who will even bring the agenda of restructuring down to our table, where I and you will have a smooth running system, where I can put more of my own experience. And my guests and the past to cap will bring this experience.
Okay.
To dialogue it together on the way forward.
Interesting.
Finally, I want to say that the constitution we are using in Nigeria now is not made by us. It was made by the British people. We have been managing it and it's no longer suitable for us. This is a high time. We will rise to get our constitution. God bless Nigeria.
And bless you too. You have actually chosen your community. Okay, and that's how much we can take. I have to revert to my guest, Comrade Chris Makun Wosu. He's on the other side. I'm sorry, I can take any other call. This one here says, is an SMS from MC Ndiawa Wosu. He says, currently the masses suffering under excruciating hardship and poverty no longer care whether there's petroleum subsidy or not. Prices of fuel now range from 200 to 250. Of course, in Abuja, we saw 220 and 235 in Lagos and in Abuja. While kerosene and gas prices, I don't want to touch that one right now because gas, it hurts me right now. Okay, but while kerosene and gas prices are soaring above the reach of the common man, as it stands now, it will be grossly catastrophic if fuel pump prices hits 500 naira or more a liter with its devastating chain effects. Efforts must be made to ensure that subsidy removal doesn't outrageously increase the price of petroleum products. There's limit to endurance, and the masses have currently been stretched to their limit. And further hardship may lead to violent demonstrations, strikes, and even the dreaded revolution. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Also, I'm Sindiawa. All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I can take any other call, please. This one here says, Kingsley Nibwe from Akata. I don't understand why only Dangote is the only one given the license, but let's get back to our guest on the other side as he makes his assessment from various calls that came in during the course of the show. Over to you, Comrade Wosu.
Yeah, thank you. And let's begin with the last, but then you just made the clarification. That would say is not the only Nigerian who has been given license to build a refinery. And I made allusions to that many have been given licenses to construct refineries, but they are rather using the licenses, taking advantage of them to do other things.
True.
Now that's that. Then it's important that we also the second caller it was who made the point that the constitution does not have a provision for recalling elected political leaders. That is not true. That is not true, and it's important that the people understand it's not true. You can recall. However, the problem is that the procedure for the recall is so cumbersome that most times, even those who have attempted to do so had never succeeded because there are a lot of cobwebs along the line. Why are there those cobwebs? Because where you want whatever, the important thing is that it has to come through a political process. And that is why I've always laid emphasis on the political leadership recruitment process in the country or of Nigeria. I've always made the point that on the issue of bad governance, the followership are as guilty as the leadership because it is the followership that enthrones the leadership. Now, that's why everybody is pointing to 2023. The surprising thing, God forbid, let's get it right this time, but the surprising thing is that at such cost, when the people are now have the opportunity to get things right by electing the right caliber of people, leaders, to administer the country's affairs, they will rather go for people who have no capacity to do so. Probably because those people have deep pockets and very deep ones that they can, compromise a lot of voters from. And then by the time we have elected this incompetence and they go into office, of course, there is no magic they can perform. and then we continue to swim in the ocean of hardship, and Nigerians will now begin to complain.
Yeah.
So the opportunities are there, but it has to start with you putting the right people, voting for the right people to go and represent you at the National Assembly. Because if you want to remove a president, it is only at that level that the masses can now do so by proxy. But imagine a situation where the masses in all the localities elect people who they can trust, people who are, committed to the public good and the common interest. When you have such people represent you at the National Assembly, you can trust that when the president goes wrong, they can call the president to order. After all, in the not too recent past, we had a National Assembly that was failed, that had its own mind and disagreed with the president, often and on, because the pitched camp with the interest of Nigeria. Maybe not because they intended to do so ab initio, but because political circumstances forced them, to rise to the situation. So Nigerians have the opportunity to find out and elect those kind of people who have the willpower to do things right in this country, so that they can check the checks and balances envisaged in the Constitution for the various arms of government will come into full play, and Nigerians will benefit from that. That's number one. The other thing is that my friend John Awoke, put the nail on the head. He tried to compare the era of the PDP and now, wondering what went wrong. Because a government that told us that it will not sustain the fuel subsidy has not only sustained the fuel subsidy, but we are now buying fuel twice the price, and now thrice, and in some occasions even
quadruple
the price we were buying, in the life of the administration that it criticized all along. So what was the magic? There's something Governor Soludo always says in his short stint so far. He says he's not complaining because he applied for this job and he's prepared for the job and we employed him. So he's not complaining about, the enormity of what he met when he came into office and all that. That should be the spirit of public office, particularly elected public office seekers. That should be the spirit. You need to know what you're going to face. You need to know what you want to offer Nigeria, so that we won't have a reputation of somebody who now come in and tell us in the past 16 years they have been there. What did they do? No, you didn't, seek the vote of Nigerians to make reference to the past 16 years. You sought the vote of Nigerians because you believe you could do better. You believe you can handle the situations. So my position is that whether it is first subsidy, whether it is the challenges in the education and health sectors, whatever it is, whether it is infrastructure, the solution begins with getting people who understand governance. We can only do that by jettisoning the influence of money or whatever types of inducements that politicians will dangle before us in 2023, and making sure that we elect people, possibly not based on political party platforms, but people who can serve the common interests when they get to government. That is the beginning of it. And that's the subtotality of the way out for Nigerians, because it is the same problem of corruption that has crippled the energy sector, that has crippled the oil sector, that is also dealing with other sectors of the economy.
Definitely.
Be the health, be the education, be the infrastructure, or whatever. So let's open our eyes and make brilliant choices in 2023, so that going forward, we could begin to see improvements in the lives of Nigerians. Because I've told people, I don't believe in indices. As someone who is enlightened, yes, I use indices, I make allusions to indices, but the biggest indices or index that I believe in is the effect of governance on the lives of everyday Nigerians.
Yeah.
How easy has it been to put food on the table? Have you been able, is your salary, taking responsibilities of your responsibilities. So these are the issues. Once those issues are not solved, all the indices you are talking about or you may be alluding to means little or nothing to the average Nigerian. The indices he will understand is tomorrow if he begins to buy rice at 15,000 and then from 15,000 it begins to come down to 10,000 or 8,000 that it used to be some 8 years back. Yeah. Not the indices will tell him that we have improved in rice production and yet is buying local rice at 20-something thousand. What kind of improvement is that?
Okay.
7 years after.
All right. Okay.
That's
Comrade Chris McCall also for doing this with me again. Do have a good day.
Thank you very much. Lovely day to all you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, and that's how far we have come on the conversation. The late Mega Morning Show makes a return in about 28 minutes. I'll be back at 10:30 for the late Mega Morning Show. Good morning.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are entirely those of the individuals